$1 million. Sorry. $100 billion.
Gentlemen, I can guarantee you that it will not cost you $100 billion to get started selling on Amazon FBA. So in this video, I'm going to break down exactly how much it'll cost. I think you'll be quite surprised on how little you need to actually get started. And I'm going to also give you some alternative things that you can do to keep your costs low when you're starting your business. So without further ado, let's get right in. All right, so the first thing that you're going to need when you're getting started on Amazon is product research software. So the product research software that I use is called Jungle Scout, and Jungle Scout pretty much helps you find products that have high demand with low competition. You can put in your certain categories, you can put in certain metrics that you want your ideal product to have, and Jungle Scout will display all of the products on Amazon's website that meets your certain criteria. So it makes your job so much easier when you're trying to look for a product versus just trying to come up with a product on your own. It scans Amazon's entire database, and it shows you products, like I said, that have high demand with low competition that meet your criteria. So Jungle Scout, I highly recommend. It's what I've used to find a number of my products, and it's also what I advise a lot of my students and clients to use. And the link will be down below if you'd like to check that out. And the cost of Jungle Scout is $70 per month. And the $70 per month is so small because the value that it brings, even before you find a product and even after, is so much greater than the $70. But if you're on a tight budget, you can just use Jungle Scout for the first few months if you want, just so you can find your product, and then you can cancel it if you want. But I still use it, even after finding the products, because they have so many different tools within inside of this software that'll help you not only find products, but it'll also help you grow your business. Your next expense is going to be probably your biggest expense, which is your inventory cost. So your inventory cost depends. Most factories in China require a minimum order quantity of anywhere between 300 to 500 units for your first order. But if your product is inexpensive, let's say your product is only $1, your initial inventory cost is going to be a lot lower versus a product that's priced at $5, $6, $7, or $8 per unit. And I will tell you one thing about inexpensive products versus higher ticket products. Usually the inexpensive products, they tend to be slightly more competitive, just because more people can afford to invest $1,000 or $2,000 into a product. The products that are priced between $5, $6, $7, $10, $20 per unit wholesale are going to be slightly less competitive because not that many people can afford to invest $5, $6, $7, $8, or $9,000 on an initial investment. So this depends on your comfort level. If you're just getting started and you don't have much capital, you may want to start with an inexpensive product and then work your way up to a more expensive product. If you've got a bigger budget, I would say just go for a high ticket. Go for a product that is priced a little bit higher, that's maybe $5 or $6 wholesale cost. So for this example, let's say that our wholesale price per unit is $2 per unit, and we need to buy 500 units. Let's just say 500 units, worst case scenario. So that brings our inventory cost to $1,000 for our inventory cost. So the next cost you're gonna have is branding. So when I first started, I didn't pay anyone for branding, you know what I'm saying? And unfortunately, I had a few products that flopped, and it may have been because of that, because I did the logo myself. But nowadays, we have so many low-cost alternatives that you can go with, so that way you can get a professional logo for not too much money. So what I like to advise my new students who are on a tighter budget is to use like Fiverr.com or Freelancer.com, and find an inexpensive designer to create a logo for you. And you'll be able to use that logo on your branding. You'll be able to use that logo on your packaging and on your product as well. And it usually only costs between $100 to $200 for branding. So if you've got the money, go ahead and spend the money. Do it the right way the first time, so that way you don't make some of the same mistakes that I made. Go to Fiverr, go to Freelancer, go to Upwork. Find you a designer who can create you a really good quality logo between $100 to $200. Now, if you're on a tight budget and you really cannot afford the $200, then I would advise using a platform called Canva. And so what you would do is you would go to Google and you would type in whatever niche that you're trying to sell in. So for instance, if you're trying to sell in the football niche, you would type in football logos into a Google search and go to their images and then see what other companies are doing for their logo and see the style of logo, so you can kind of get an idea of what's already working in your particular niche. And then you go to Canva and you try to replicate that and do something that is similar, that's already proven in the marketplace. And I teach this in my course, but that's only if you're on a tight budget. If you've got $100 to $200, shit, even if you've got $50, you need to be trying to hire a professional artist to create a logo for you, because there's so many low-cost alternatives. It just makes sense nowadays. Another expense that will come up will be photography. So nowadays, a lot of manufacturers are offering professional photography to select clients, but you have to negotiate that into the deal. So when you're negotiating your pricing, make sure to bring up photography and that you need high-quality pictures in order to sell their products well. If for some reason they're not able to provide you with high quality pictures, the next thing that I will look at is going with a local photographer that you can usually hire for about $100 per hour. Within that hour, you can usually get about 10 pictures done on a white background. That's what you'll need. If for some reason you can't find a local photographer, you want to ask your friends and family if they know anyone that can provide you with high quality photography on a white background, maybe in exchange for a product. Those are the low cost ways. If for some reason you don't have any of those above, and you can't negotiate your factory to take them for you, then you may want to look into a third-party photography service. That's going to be a lot more expensive. So try to negotiate with your factory first, so that way you can get it for free. I just did that for a few of my clients and a few of my students. Got them photography done for free, and just had it edited on Fiverr, but got the photography done for free. Or hire a local photographer to do your pictures for you, but you shouldn't pay more than $100 for this service here. All right, so the next cost that you will have is either an inspection cost or a sample cost. And in my course, I usually advise my students to go after an inspection versus ordering a sample, just because it'll save you 7 to 10 business days, and it'll help you launch your product quicker and begin dominating that market faster than the other guy. All right, so an inspection just means that you will hire a third-party agency to go to the manufacturer before you pay any large sum of money for your inventory, and they're going to check the product. They're going to take pictures of it. They can take a video of the product. They can do a test for you. If it's a ball and it needs to bounce a certain height, they could throw it on the ground and make sure that it bounces a certain height. It can be like your right-hand man when it comes to making sure that your product is up to par and that it meets all of the standards that you discuss with your factory. So I highly suggest hiring a third-party inspection agency before you send any large sum of money to a factory. And that should only cost you about $100 USD. If you don't want to hire a third-party inspection agency and you want to actually have the product samples shipped to you, you can do that, but to me that's a rookie move. It's going to cost you $100 anyways for shipping from China to America. It's just going to waste about 7 to 10 business days, but if you want to do it, I get it. But it'll still cost you about $100 regardless. So for either an inspection or a sample, it's going to cost you about $100. So your next expense is going to be your shipping cost. So there's two different ways that you can ship your products from China to Amazon's warehouse. You can either ship your products via air, which is usually more expensive but quicker, or you can ship your products by sea, which is usually less expensive but slower. Shipping by air usually takes about 7 to 10 business days. Shipping by sea takes about 25 to 30 days, but it's a lot more inexpensive. This will depend on the size and the weight of your product that you're selling. If you're a brand new seller with a small budget, you'll more than likely be able to ship your products by air, which is what I recommend when you're first starting out, because it's the easiest, it's the quickest, and you can get your product on Amazon the quickest before the next guy does. For this example, let's say that you're shipping a low-cost, inexpensive product that's under 2 pounds, which most of you will probably do since you're just getting started. You will more than likely be shipping by air, which will cost you about $400. What you can do is you can ship your initial order by air, which is, like I said, is more expensive, but then as soon as you start to see sales rolling in, as soon as you start to see sales rolling in, you put in another order for your next batch of inventory to be shipped by sea. So that way on your next batch of inventory, you have an increased profit margin, and you can use that profit to keep on buying more inventory. So, but when you first get started, ship by air is the easiest, it's the quickest, a little bit more expensive, but it's worth it. All right, so once your products are ready to be sold at Amazon's warehouse, you'll have one more expense that comes up, which will be your advertising expense. So when you're first launching a product, there's only two things that matter, and I always say that it's just sales and reviews. Nothing else matters, it's just sales and reviews. And in order to get sales, you'll need to do some form of advertising. What I advise my clients and students to do is use Amazon's advertising platform, which is called Amazon Sponsored Ads. And I would just allocate a budget of about $500 to push your product as hard as you can initially to gain that initial momentum, so that way, sales begin to come in and you start to get organic and free sales. But without an advertising budget, good luck. You need to get your product out there. As soon as your product hits Amazon's warehouse, you need to be getting sales as soon as possible, lots of sales. And you do that by using Amazon sponsored ads. All right, so at the end of the day, you can look to spend anywhere between $200 to $2,500 to get your Amazon FBA business started. This can be a lot lower, it can also be a lot higher, but it really depends on the cost of the product. It also depends on whether or not you hire a mentor, whether or not you take a course, whether or not you have a friend that can do the graphic design for you so you don't have to pay for a designer, whether or not you're a photographer so you can take the pictures yourself. All of those things, can add up. So if you are on a tight budget, ask your friends and family, who's a photographer who can help you out. Ask them who's a designer who can help you out. So that way you can keep your costs low, and you can put that money back into inventory, which is really what's going to make you money. Okay, so I hope this really helped clarify some things in regards to setting up your Amazon FBA business. I do have a master course available for anyone that is interested in learning exactly how to launch a successful Amazon FBA business. And I also do offer hands-on coaching as well to a select few students. So if you're interested, let me know, drop a comment, and I'll definitely love to help you out. And if you haven't already, please subscribe, like this video, and if you keep showing me the love, I will keep making these videos. And until next time, peace.